All right, so we're diving into something today that's got everyone talking in the cricket world, right? India's win at the Champions Trophy, but it wasn't exactly a clean sweep, was it?
No, definitely not a straightforward victory. Lots of debate around it.
Yeah, you've got Pat Cummins, the Aussie captain,
Hmm.
even saying India had this huge advantage, right? So we got to break this down, look at it from every angle, see if we can actually figure out what went down.
It's interesting how this win, it's so tied up with all this stuff going on between India and Pakistan, right? Like international relations, it's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, right. It's like we're watching some geopolitical chess match, but it's happening on the cricket field. You know what I mean? But okay, so let's set the scene a little bit for everyone listening. This wasn't your typical Champions Trophy, was it?
Yeah, this is where things get a bit more complex, I guess. So because of security concerns, India just flat out refused to play any matches in Pakistan.
Okay, so that's a big deal right there.
Yeah, it is. And that's what led to this really unusual situation where every single match India played was in Dubai.
Ah, so that's where this whole Dubai advantage thing everyone's talking about comes in, right? I mean, we've got some pretty strong opinions on this, right? Guys like Pat Cummins and Razi van der Dussen, they're both saying this gave India a major, major leg up. But like, for our listeners who might not be following every detail, can you explain how this advantage actually worked?
So it's not just about, like, playing on home turf, right? The pitches in Dubai, they're known to be slower, and they really tend to favor spin bowling.
Okay, so that plays right into India's strengths.
Exactly. So India could basically build their whole strategy around that, and they had the entire tournament to get used to these specific conditions.
While other teams, Australia, South Africa, they're having to adjust to different venues every time they progress, right? So their consistency could be off.
Exactly. Think of it like a home field advantage, but like times 10.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how fair it all was. Like if teams are dealing with different playing conditions, different travel burdens, was it even a level playing field to begin with?
That's a good point. And then you've got Junaid Khan, former Pakistan pacer, just straight up saying India's winning by scheduling, basically, that they had this unfair advantage just because they didn't have to travel around. What do you make of that?
I mean, yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Some pundits even say the tournament was like deliberately set up to favor India. But to be fair, we have to look at India's side of things too.
Okay, yeah, let's hear what they have to say.
Well, their head coach, Gautam Gambhir, he just completely dismissed the allegations, said they were unfounded. And then you've got Rajiv Shukla, the BCCI vice president. He's emphasizing that India wins because of their performance, not because of the pitch conditions.
So they're saying it's all about skill, all about their strategy, and nothing to do with any outside factors.
Exactly. And Shukla even pointed out that this whole arrangement with India's matches being in Dubai, it was all agreed upon beforehand during the ICC meeting. That's where all the cricket bigwigs get together and decide on the tournament structure.
So from India's perspective, everything was above board, everything was pre-decided, no foul play. Man, this just gets more and more complicated, doesn't it?
It does. And this is where, you start to see how sport and politics, they get really intertwined. I mean, the relationship between India and Pakistan, it's strained, right?
Yeah.
And that has a huge impact on the sport at like an international level.
Yeah.
This whole tournament, it was kind of like a reflection of those tensions, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. You really feel that tension playing out, on the field. It kind of makes you wonder about the power dynamics in these global sporting organizations. Like, who really has the control?
Yeah, it raises questions about, like, should any single nation have the power to just dictate the terms of a global event? Or should there be, a more balanced way of making decisions?
That's a really great question. I mean, India refusing to play in Pakistan, that had a ripple effect, right? The whole tournament had to adapt, and, that probably created some winners and losers. And it all goes back to that first question, right? Does this victory for India, does it feel different?
I don't think you can deny that this win comes with, like, a certain level of complexity. Yeah, it's a win for India, but it's a win that happened under very specific circumstances.
Right, a context where there was political tension, scheduling controversies, people saying it wasn't a fair playing field. It definitely makes their win, well, more complicated.
For sure. And those things, they inevitably shape how we see India's win, right?
Absolutely. So what now? What does this all mean for the future of cricket?
Well, what Shukla said about maybe resuming those bilateral series between India and Pakistan, that was pretty interesting. He emphasized that the Indian government has the final say and that any series like that should happen on home soil, not at neutral venues. bilateral series, for people who aren't familiar, it's like a mini tournament between just two nations. So India not doing that with Pakistan, it just adds another layer of tension to this win, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. So even the possibility of like future cricket diplomacy is tied to all this complex political stuff. It's like cricket's this high stakes game, both on and off the field. What do you think this means for the sport going forward?
I think it's becoming more and more clear that the sport's getting really tied up with geopolitics. These tournaments, the Champions Trophy, it's not just about, athletic skill. It's about national pride. It's about soft power. It's about international relations.
Yeah, this Champions Trophy win for India, it's exciting and kind of unsettling at the same time, right? They won, yeah, but how they got there brings up some serious questions about international sports in general.
Yeah, and it makes us think about, the ethics, the sporting implications of those decisions made by people at the very top. Decisions that can change how a tournament is seen, even how a nation's win is seen.
It's crazy how something that seems straightforward can actually be so complicated. It really makes you think.
It does, and that's what makes these deep dives so great. We can peel back the layers, look past the headlines, and really engage with, all the nuances of a situation.
Yeah, it really shows how easy it is to get caught up in, the excitement of it all and miss the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of times, the most interesting stuff, it's hidden beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Just like an iceberg, right? You see the tip, the win, but underneath there's this whole massive thing, all the intrigue and what it all means.
So to everyone listening, whether you're celebrating India's win, debating how fair it was, or just enjoying the whole Champions Trophy thing, remember, there's always more to this story, right?
Yeah, it's about looking beyond just the scores and stats and like those quick sound bites to find the real insights.
This has been awesome, really unpacking all the ins and outs of this Champions Trophy win for India.
Yeah, we've seen how one win can be about so much.
Yeah.
Sporting talent, political moves, national pride. It's all mixed in there.
And as always, we encourage you to keep talking about this, keep questioning, keep trying to understand the world a little bit better. What do you think about this win? Does it feel different now that you know the whole context?
Because sometimes, understanding the why of something is just as important as knowing the what.
Perfectly said. Until next time, keep on deep diving.